This conference will now be recorded.
All right, thank you. So let me go ahead and first put this under the comment. We saw this example yesterday. So now I don't know if you guys got a chance to go through it, but tell me, what am I gonna get an output for this statement? Can anybody tell me? Anybody wants to take a stab? So what is this basically? This is my
So
list, right? So
yes,
that's
both.
what I wanted to talk about, list comparisons. Is it possible? Is it not? Is it going to be error? Yeah, go ahead. Sunil, you were saying something.
So yeah, I mean, because both are list, so we are
Hmm.
giving a statement that if this list is equal to this list, print true. I guess it should, print it as a true.
Okay. So I have one
I
person
guess,
saying print true.
yeah, I guess
Anybody
it
else?
will be false because we can compare these two lists, but there are some rules till 0 to 255 if the length that comparisons will be true, but because it's a collection, so the size of it will be more,
Okay.
something like that. Yeah. So,
So let's see.
I really didn't get it. I mean, if that's the answer, I believe that we need some explanation.
No, no, no. It is true only. So, but let's see. Let's run it. Yeah, it is true. So the thing is, this is a one concept in Python that you want to, and I think what Ashish was saying is partly true based on some other languages. But Ashish, that is, I think, if I'm not wrong, that is a Java concept what you're talking about. But here it's a little different. It is still the same concept, and I'll explain what Ashish was saying to everybody. But the point is, if you are trying to compare two elements, remember this is the comparison operator, right? On the left and right, which are exactly same in the sense in terms of number. So here we have three elements in the list, right? In terms of the element type, so both the sides is list, then it will work fine. So what I'm trying to say is if you had this, now it should turn to false. See, because we cannot compare three elements to four elements. It's just not possible. So there are some rules, what Ashish was saying, but those rules are very straightforward. That if your elements match, if your element types match, then it should be fine. So basically, going applying the same rule, actually list. It's not just list or tuple or any data set basically. So now, if I'm doing this, what do you guys think would be my output, true or false? So this is a tuple, as everybody knows, right? So it should be true. Same rule applies here as well. There is, I mean, not much to it. But I have a question. So now if I do this, what do you think my output would be? I have the same elements, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Both are tuples. Do you think it will work? I mean, will it be true
No,
or will it be false?
so I guess it should be false because
Mm-hmm.
the as per the index, though the index value starts from 0 and ends at 2, but
Mm-hmm.
the numbers which are there on the indexes are different.
Okay, let's see. I really like your answer though. It is false. I'll just come back to what Sunil was saying. I wanted to keep it for later. So Sunil, don't answer my next question. So guys, but you guys understood, right? It's simple what I was saying. 1, 2, 3 doesn't match 3, 1, 2. The order is different. But what do you think my output would be now? Actually, let's first look at list. So if I do this, do you think it'll be false? It is still false, right? Same logic. 1, 2, 3 is not equal to 3, 1, 2, even though the numbers are same, but their ordering is different. That's essentially what Sunil was even also saying. What do you guys think now happened? If I change it to set, do you think it will still be false or will it be true now?
true. True.
It will be
That
true.
is true. Why would it be true?
The set is not ordered.
Exactly.
Yes. In set,
And
it won't be ordered, right?
right, and that brings us to the very important statement. So it's basically the way I tell you is we're going backwards. So essentially what it means is if it's a list or a tuple or any of those sequence, then it uses indexing to compare. That's what Sunil was telling. So basically what he was saying was at index 0 of this first list, if it was a list, would be compared with index 0 of this list. And if it matches, then it is good. If it doesn't match, it just gets out of there only. So it was failing at the first element itself when 1 was being matched to 3. But we all remember from our sets class, they do not follow indexing, correct? And they use hashing to store in memory. That is the reason they can store in anywhere. So this 312 could be stored in 123 or 213 or doesn't matter. So what in case of sets, what happens is element by element is mapped to its memory. So for example, this will go like this. 1 will be matched in the whole memory location and it will see if 1 exists. Okay, it exists, fine. Then it will go to 2. Okay, so my first element is 3. No, doesn't matter. No, doesn't matter. Oh yes, it matters. So it matches. Then 3, again this. So that's why it is returning true when we are doing it as a set. This is sometimes asked in interviews. So I thought I'll just do it, but I'm glad all of you guys got it by automatically.
But Ankit, even can go back.
Yeah, Anand.
If you put 1, 2, 3, even though it's a set and it will be true, right? 1, 2,
This
3.
is true. Yeah, this is true. Because in set, it doesn't matter, right? How you define it. It stores internally into memory, not using indexing. So this 1, 2, 3, even though you define like this could very well be stored like 3, 2, 1 or 3, 1, 2 or anything like that. Because it is an unordered, as they say, right, sequence of elements. And the reason is it doesn't follow indexing. So when you follow indexing, that's when you have to make sure that the order is right. Because what 0th element of one list cannot be the same as 0th element of another list, right? Even though the values can match in total. But in sets, it doesn't go by indexing. It goes by hashing mechanism. So by hashing, all it means is that it will, so however that set would be defined, right? 1 second. I'm just going to use this. So let's say, just saying, for example, it was storing this as 312 only. Very bad with this marker. So now when so the 1, 2, 3 is matched, right? So first it will go and check this guy. Okay, it doesn't match. Okay, it matches here. That's it. Then it will start with 2. So again, it will start here. Does it match 3? No. Does it match 1? No. It matches here. Fine. Then it'll go in 3 and 3 matches right here. So that's why this is returning true.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. All right, guys. So let me go back to our for loop.
Ankit,
Yeah, Sriram.
yeah,
Go ahead.
someone is Sunil or someone is stating that it will be checking with I mean, in first whatever given 1, 2, 3, it's 0 to 256 like that. Can you
No. 0 to
say about
256 was a different answer. That is more of a Java concept. That's why I didn't go into it. Let's keep it simple. So
fine?
if it was a list like we had initially, right? All it's going to do is it's going to match the 0th index. So what is on the 0th index of this list? 1. What is the 0th index of this list? 3. That's it. It won't even go further down. It'll print to false because your condition became false. So it goes to else part. It doesn't go to the print part. Don't get into that 0 to 56 thing at all. That is a different concept. But you can extend that concept here is what I think that was Ashish who said it. So just remember your basics, guys. Indexing, no indexing here. That's all. Nothing else.
Do we care about the order of complexity? Like a lot of interview question ask you what is the order of complexity?
So again, that is a very advanced concept, and I don't think so I'll be dealing with it. But maybe I can take a class for you and maybe a couple of people. So we'll talk about it once we do the order of complexity. How do we calculate it? How do we work around it? But let's not confuse that right now.
Okay.
All right. So, but that was a good question, Jonkin. Am I saying it right, your name? Or can I just say Kin?
Call Horn is fine.
Hon. Okay, yeah. Thank you, Hon. I want to make sure. All right. So now let's go to for loops, where we wanted to start yesterday. So what is a for loop and why do we need a for loop? So let's say we have a lot of data in a list or in a tuple or any data format, and we want to go through each and every element of it, right? And let's say it's a very big list. And then while we are doing it, we want to select some selective stuff. So for example, I had this big list. And while going through this list, I want to go through iteration, like basically one by one element. And then let's say,
Ankit, sorry for disturbing. Can I have one doubt?
no, go ahead. Yeah, please
Can
go
you
ahead.
just go back to the previous, the earlier?
Sure. 1 second. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, in the row number 27, instead of 1, 2, 3, just make it as 1 space hyphen space 3, row number 27.
27, 1 hyphen.
Yeah, 1 space hyphen 3. Yeah, just remove 2 also.
Okay. 1-3
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah. No, I'm just checking whether the dashes also have index. For second one, 1. No,
Okay.
no space hyphen 3. No space hyphen 3.
Oh, space doesn't matter here inside this, if that is your question. But what is 1-3? This will error out itself, right? What are you trying to achieve from this?
No, I'm just trying to see if the dash also have any index like.
No, dash will have it. That is correct. But the space is not counted. But the point is, the way you're testing it is that you're putting it in a list. So this is a error, right? You cannot do this in a list.
Okay.
So that's why I was asking.
Maybe we could use column.
But if colon is the same thing, right? Then you're just basically you're
Yes.
giving the exact same list in both the sides. So basically that's why I understood the question. What I was saying was this space, if you're talking, the one that I'm highlighting, this would not matter.
Yes.
So if you write print like this or this, it will still take. The space is only very specific cases it will have a problem. And you would know it by default. See, the other thing is if it was a problem, even VS Code would have told me, but it looks perfectly fine. But what I'm saying is this is not a right way to give the list. So it won't work. It won't show you the exact thing what you wanted to do.
Okay. Thank you. Got it.
Yeah, but you got the answer, right? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So like I was saying, we have a long list. Imagine it had more than this elements. And now I just wanted to pick up 6 out of it and 9 out of it. There is a way that you can define it as a list and then count manually what is your 6th element and then what is the 9th element and print that. But what if this is a huge list of lakh or 2 lakhs records? Then what are you going to do? So for loops becomes very handy in that situation. But remember, what we're talking about is the major prerequisite is when you want to use a for loop is when you want to iterate over a sequence. I'm not even going to say list or anything like that. That's why we saw this yesterday, and I wanted you guys to think about it. So whenever there's a sequence of elements, if you want to iterate, by iterate I mean go one by one through all the elements, and then so that is a basic concept. Now whatever you want to do with that, you can write it here. So let me put it as lines of codes. That's the wrong English. Lines of code. So then whatever you want to do with that particular number, let's say you wanted to find where the 7th element is and just wanted to print it. So that's it. Just give a print statement here. That is not important. What is important is for loop is used always when you want to iterate over a sequence of elements. Remember that. And then you can add a lot more to it, and we'll see one by one examples. So let me take a very basic examples. And before I do that, can somebody remind me? We have done this so many times. What are my sequence elements or elements that follow sequence in terms of data structure?
Your list tuple,
Okay, yes, tuple.
set,
Strings.
Okay, dictionary. We can say that. and strings.
No.
Okay, we'll see. You guys are
And also
forgetting a
set and
concept in
tokens both
dictionary.
are coming in the sequence.
Sorry,
Dictionary
Anand,
does
you were
dictionary have
breaking up.
sequence? No.
Sunil, one second. Anand, what were you saying?
Set and frozen set also under sequence.
Yeah, that is. I mean, for this we'll take it as same. Only thing is you cannot have duplicates and that one.
Okay,
So
that dictionary will come as a sequence or not? It
yeah.
will
So
not.
how are you, Tushar? How come you are silent today?
Yeah, actually, I came outside and I just walked in.
Okay. So Sunil and Tushar have asked dictionary. So that means you guys haven't gone through my dictionary class or one of the class. You have, but you'll see how we'll go through it, and that's why you're getting confused. We'll talk about it. There is a way to do it. So I don't know if we'll get to it today, but we'll get to it. So let me take a very simple example so we understand first what the uh, for loop is all about. So very, very simple. Now I'm going to write a for loop for item in list X. Okay, print item. So this is a variable that you can use any name. You can even use Ankit here. You can even use Sriram here, whatever you want to use. First, let me show you with this and then we'll change. So I'm just, so always remember guys, when you're developing code, you should not give like for I in list X and all those things. We would be using it in the course because it's easy. But when you're writing actual code, you have to follow nomenclature, which means you have to follow some good coding practices. So actually, even ITER is not the right one. You should be, there are certain unsaid rules, but you should follow those. So basically, that meaning, that variable should be of a name that has some meaning to it. So let's say, so in real world, you may probably do it like iteration variable. And this is a very common way of doing it, that your first letter is always small and the second letter of your the first letter of your second word is always caps, but some people follow this also. What happened? Yeah, underscore. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. I personally like this. So that is a nomenclature, but for I in list X also is going to work, and that's what you will see me using most of the times. But quickly, let's see what is the output here. So you see, all my elements 1, 2, 3, 4 were printed. How? Because I took a variable called iter and I pointed it to. So within basically you're doing a lookup. So when you do a lookup, you start from the first element of the list or of the sequence. So right now, when it starts the first time, like this line itself, it is basically pointing at this one. So what, and remember we saw this colon yesterday. So whatever is after the colon, you put a tab and that is considered. So this whole is considered one block of statement. It will be always executed together. So what am I saying, or what is my lines of code here? Print iteration. So what is my iteration pointing to right now? 1. So that's how you get this first one in the output. Then what happens? For loop automatically increases the value of this iteration once it sees that this is the end of for loop, right? Because there is nothing after this. So then it changes it to 2. Now where is your, what is on your second location? It is 2. So it comes back here and prints 2. That's how it prints 2. Then again it goes to 3, and then what is on my third location? It is happens to be 3. So it prints 3. So one thing you have to understand is, one second, that this 1, 2, 3, 4 is not printing because the iteration is going from 1 to 3, 4. So my point is, if it was 5, 6, 7, 8, it won't be printing 1, 2, 3, 4. It would be printing 5, 6, 7, 8. But iteration variable is going from 0 to 3 actually, or you can say 1 to 4, whatever you like it. So whenever, so first it starts with 0, and what is on your 0th location? It is 5. That's how 5 gets printed. Then it gets incremented to 1 and you print 6. Then it again gets incremented by 1. So you're here, and then finally 8. So this is the very simplest of all the 4 examples. Is there anybody who did not understand this concept? If you did not, then I mean, then you have to tell me now, because it's a very important concept, and if you don't understand the basic stuff, you won't understand it further. Okay, sounds good. So let's say I did this.
Ankit,
Yeah, yeah, Sriram.
can you please repeat?
Sure,
Can
no
you
problem.
please repeat it?
Sure. No worries. Let me do it like this. So now this is my list. 1, 2, 3. So what is my value here? 5. What is my value here? 6, 7, 8. So going back again to our indexing concept, it is 0, 1, 2, 3, right? So now this is only till here. So list, this is my list X, and this is how it is stored in memory. Now I'm saying for iter in list X. So what is my iter? It is nothing but a variable. So when the variable is defined like this in for loop, it automatically starts at 0. You can say it as a value, or you can say it is now. So okay, even before we get, so it is at 0. And what the next thing says in list X? That means it is asking it to point itself to here. So that is all this first line is doing. That iteration is pointing to the list X first memory location. So now that is your colon, and what is the next line? So let me remove that +5. So what I'm saying is just print the value of whatever the value is right here. So what is my value here, Sriram? 5, right?
5.
Yeah. So where did it go? I think I cleaned it up. Hold on. Come on. Yeah. So that's how you got this 5. That's it. Now there is nothing after this, right? No more statements. So what happens? It goes back here, and this becomes 1. It gets incremented every time by 1 once the statements after that finishes automatically. You don't have to do it. Now, what is my 1? It's right here. So it's pointing here. Again, now once this is done, it goes to this statement again. It's a loop, as they say, right? For loop. So now it is doing the same thing again. So now print the value at 1. What is the value? That is 6. That's how you get this 6. Then what will happen? This will go increase to 2 and go back here. Now what will happen? Where is it pointing to? 2. What is the value here? 7. That's how 7 is getting printed. Now what will happen? It will go to 3. It will get incremented to 3. So where it will point? Here. What is the value? 8. So that's how 8 is getting printed. Now what happens? It becomes 4. So what is 4? Nothing. So that means it breaks out and there is nothing after that. So it doesn't do anything and you're done. Does it make sense now? Sriram.
Yeah. If
Okay.
values are different, means then will between. I mean, like odd numbers, it will be happen.
So you're saying if this is like this, 3, 5, 7, 9, that's your odd numbers, right? Yeah, so
Yes.
same concept. What are you doing? You're replacing this with 3. You're replacing this with 5 and 7 and 9. So same thing, 5, 6, 7, 8, what will be printed? 3, 5, 7, 9. Let's run it and see.
But it again back everything on the index based, right, Ankit?
Yeah, everything is index based. This is my favorite diagram of indexing, right? That's how I've been telling in index. Maybe you were not
Yeah,
there in the initial class.
it's
So
completely clear now.
everything is based on index. Yeah. So it will go one by one using the index. That is the whole concept here. The only thing that for loop does it for you by default is this, that see, we never incremented the iteration variable ever, right? So it started with here, 0, then it went to 1, then it went to 2, and then it went to 3. So automatically for loop does that for you. That is one thing about, or you can say one difference in Python and then in C and C++. In C, C++, you have to manually tell that, please increment it or not. Or you can even decrement it and stuff like that. So that is one way to look at for loops. Now my question is, did somebody have a question?
Yeah, can we can we increment here inline this iter and start the index from 1? I mean, yeah, in the range we have this start from some
Yes.
index, right?
Yes.
Similarly,
Yes.
can
So what you'll have to do is, yeah, we'll come on that example also. I have that in mind. Basically, you're asking this. So now it will start from 1. It won't start from 0. If you want to print it,
oh,
it
yeah,
won't print from
that's
0.
correct. I just wanted to check if
Yeah.
this for iter here you are saying that this is the index, right? So can we
Yeah.
start
No,
it
no, no.
directly?
Index is still the same concept. So again, what is range 1 to 10? Range 1 to 10 means, okay, no, you got confused. Hold on. So how will this be? It will be the same
Ankit,
thing.
in the sorry, but in the example when you mention for iter in range 1 to 10, don't we have to
Mhm.
mention list x as well? We need to define that in list x, the range should
No,
be followed like that. No?
no. So that is the beauty of range, right? Remember did we talk about range function? We did, right? And I said we'll talk about it more and see. We did. So range has its own start, stop, and step. If you look at the session we had. So and remember what is the mandatory thing? Does anybody remember? So range cannot be like this.
Stop.
Yes.
Yeah. Stop
So
will
you
be there.
always have to provide a stop. So when you say 10, it starts and then by default it starts from 0 and goes all the way to 1 minus basically whatever you stop
No,
you're
no.
giving.
So no, that is okay. But I guess my question is, how would
Mhm.
just the statement range understand that it has to follow that range within list x?
No. This is not list X. So forget the list X. It's not even
Okay,
there
so that's
when you
that's what
give range.
that's what I was. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
then it's fine.
So that's why it's not even printing the list variables, list values, right?
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
That's what I was
So
thinking.
that's
Yeah.
what I was going to explain with this, but I think you already got it. So the
Okay.
range 1 to 10, whoever asked you before, I think it was Anand, right? Or maybe somebody else. So range 1 to 10, this thing would first get elaborated like this in the memory. And now your iteration again would start from 0th location only. That concept doesn't change. So now your 0th location has 1. Why? Because you gave range 1 to 10. That's why. If you don't give range 1 to 10 and just give 10, what does it mean? That you're going to start with 0, not 1, and then 1. Similarly 2. So now if I printed the same thing, it will also have 0 here. It should have. Let's see. There you go. So, but the index didn't change. The value at the index changed. When you did 10, it was 0. When you give 1 comma 10, it was 1 because you're asking Python to start from 1. But your 0th location is always the same. The values can change. So it always follows indexing concept. Remember that. Does that answer your question? Whoever asked that, sorry, I've missed. Who asked that question?
It's
So
always up to, not including 10.
What was that, Srina? Or Ashish?
I couldn't ask.
Okay, somebody was saying something. Maybe then.
yeah, I
So
was checking like if intentionally we can start from the second index without a range function.
yes, we can. Why not?
Is what-
So anything you want to do, you can do it here, right? So start from iter plus 2. I mean, it will keep. What am I doing? It will not only start from 2, it will also add 2 to it. That's what I was going to show actually. So we'll come to that one by one. Let's go simple. What happened? List X. What was my list X? Let me take 4, 5, 6, 7. So what do you guys think would be my output now? It is pretty easy to guess, right? Not going to waste time on that. See, 6, 7, 8, 9. So here in your lines of code, you can do anything with those values. So see, even though my list is 4, 5, 6, 7, but look at my output, it is 6, 7, 8, 9, because you're changing the output using this lines of code. And what are you asking it to do? Just add 2 to it. So you can do anything here, and that will be reflected in your output. And we'll see how we'll play around with it and all. But let me take some more examples first, then we'll go to alternating and all those stuff. Anand or Ashish, one of you guys asked that question. So let's say And so, like I was saying, right, this can be anything. You can even say Ankit here, it doesn't matter. But of course, in real world, you will never use it. See, same output. This is just a variable name. So now if I used, okay, what do you guys think would happen now? Let's remove the +2. So I'll take another simple example, and let me say this. A for 0.8, and let's go with this true and hello. What do you guys think my output would be? Will it print the same way or will it change?
The same way it will print. Most
Exactly.
likely
So
that.
the point I'm trying to make here is it doesn't matter what is inside your list or tuple or whatever it is, because remember basics. It just iterates element by element on the sequence. And then what am I doing? I'm printing each element. So it's going to print A first, then it's going to print 4. It doesn't matter. You have a float there, you have a character here. See, this was character, this was float, this was Boolean, and this was a full string. It's just going to print the exact way. But the point is, it's not printing H here, it's printing the whole hello, because again, the same index concept. This whole thing is under one index. And that again, whoever has a range question comes back to the same thing, that hello is occupying one full index. It's not just the H of hello is occupying it or T of true is occupying it. So remember that, guys. It's basically whatever you provide the input, it's gonna go one by one at all element, and whatever you want to do, if you want to print it, it'll just print it. If you want to do something with it, it'll do that. So now we've talked about lists. Let me go back to the same basic example. Do you think this will work? Nazim, you have a question?
Yeah, can you give a string? I want to see how a
We'll
string.
come. We'll come to that. Hold on.
Okay,
So
this should work.
we can do with 2, 3, 4 as a tuple as well. It still works. Now, actually, that's the question I had for you guys, but we'll come to it. Wait a second. So now what is my other one? You guys said set, right? So we've seen list tuple.
Yeah, set won't work. I mean, it should not work.
We'll see. Okay.
Can list like a for loop get into a deadlock where you cannot get out?
It can, if you doesn't provide, if you end up providing some weird condition, then it can. If you, let's say you have a while or a if condition within the for loop, you'll see that also. But if you're not giving the right condition, then it can be very dangerous. Actually, you brought a good point on, and it can go into an infinite loop. But Python has a good way of catching that too. So we'll talk about it. But let me first talk about the set. So what do you guys think the output would be?
Yeah, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, I have one answer as that. I kind of like that answer. Nazim says it won't print.
Yeah, it
What
won't
about
print.
others? So nobody thinks it will be printing it the exact same way?
No.
Okay, so this is the right answer. Let's see. There you go. So remember, you can iterate over sets. The only thing is sets do not take duplicate values. That is the only reason you see 5 and 6 the one time. What happens, Najam, here is when you're using this as part of in operator, it doesn't matter whether you can use indexing or not. It's going to be basically using the same concept so far, whatever we have seen. The only thing is this list X would be replaced with actually this, not these duplicates. Why? Because we defined it as a set. But if it was a list, then those duplicates would also get printed. So this won't hold good. You will see 5 and 6, 6. That is one difference in for loop. Come on, why is it so slow? See, even the duplicates are getting printed. That is the only difference. So remember this, guys. The way you define your sequence is very important. So now let's quickly get to what everybody wants to see. In fact, I wanted to ask that question. So if I say this, print iter. So if you already know the answer, please don't answer right away. But if you want to give it a shot, it's fine. What would be the answer for this? So before actually even we go there, I want to ask, most of you remember it, we even wrote it here, that string is also one form of sequence, right? So then syntactically it should not be wrong. It should not error out. But I'm interested to know what would be the output. Would it be Ankit or would it be something else?
Yeah, means it should be like, okay, other simple.
ANKIT.
You mean this? There'll be a space in between?
Yes.
Okay, that's one output. What else people think?
Ankit, but every letter in a new line.
Yeah.
You're saying this. So what happened? A, then N, then K, then I, and then T. That's what Najam says, right?
Yeah.
That
Okay.
is for sure for loop, right? Everything for loop will be printed next line only, not like a
Exactly.
grid.
So you just gave your answer. So that's why it is going to print ANKIT like this. Let's see. Whatever Najam said is right. It's coming from here. Let me move this. See, ANKIT. So it won't be adding any spaces. You can do it, but you'll have to add code for that. But this simply is doing what? It's print first. It's going to A, just like we saw in list, right? Same thing. String is also the same way. So then it prints A, and then it moves to N, but it goes in the next line, and then it goes in the next line, and so on and so forth. Did everybody understand the part of string? Was there anybody who was thinking it will be Ankit? The whole one word? Okay,
No.
that's good. Let's complicate this a little bit now. So, actually, before I do that, I have to tell one more thing, and most of you would know it, but let's see. X, print list X, no, sorry, print iter, and then print done. So, come on, come on, come on, come on.
So does it treat Ankit
Actually, you know what?
like
Leave that. Yeah, go ahead.
does
What is
it
the question?
treat Ankit like a list?
No, it is a string only. So how is, remember in the strings class we talked about it. Strings is also saved like the same way. So A N K I T. It just treats it as a sequence. Why do you have to generalize it as a list or anything in particular? And how does sequence element works? It goes like this. And same way like we saw in this case. So first A is printing, then N is printing, then K is printing, and then I and then T. So it's not, if your question was, is it converting it into a list? No, absolutely not. It is still the same string.
But if you add one more n in Ankit, so but that will also be taken.
Of course, it will be printed. Let's say you did this, right? You mean? So now N is
Yes,
duplicate.
yes,
Yeah,
still printing.
yeah, both are printing. It's not a set, right? It's not a list or a set. It's basically, so remember in string class we discussed, right? Anything within quotes, Python doesn't even care what you have. It'll just, you should give junk character, it will just print junk characters. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So like I always say, within the quotes, whatever it is, it's your headache, not Python's headache. So now I'm going to add one more thing here, and you guys are going to tell me what should be my output. Actually, iter is not looking very good, so let me put letter. Now you guys know it's printing letter by letter, right? Or character by character.
So
So
the other thing is we you stressed a lot of times on the fact that a set doesn't maintain order it's not subscriptable, then
Right.
how is a for loop going through a set?
No. So this one sorry, when you define it as a set, right?
Yeah.
We saw it because it's a very small set. If you had a big numbers, right, it can print in any order because you don't know how set is being stored. So right now we are seeing only a small set, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's why I see it in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But it can very well print as 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 or 6, 4, 5, 2, 1, 3. Anyway, that's how at that moment
Oh.
how is Python storing it? It doesn't matter. So
Hmm.
you're just iterating through it basically, element by element. Now the way it stores it, that's what depends on the way you are storing the variable, whether it's a list, whether it's a tuple, whether it's a set, whether it's a frozen set. So it's going to follow those rules. For loop is not going to impose its own rules, right? So, but yeah, your question is right. We saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you think it is going to do it in a ordered format? No. If you keep running it, maybe once in 20 times, you might even see in with small example also.
No. So that's not my question. My question is the for loop for string index, for string list tuple, it uses the index. But if we don't have the index concept, how is it going through the set?
So does for loop doesn't have index concept? I think you
No,
just answered your question. Set doesn't have it, but for
yes,
loop has it. So what is
yes.
it doing? It is just converting this when you had this list X as a set element, not even converting, and I don't want to use the word converting. It is just putting them in the memory. And see, the reason you're getting confused is because you keep thinking it as a list. This is not a list. This is how your memory is. So 1, 2,
Oh,
3,
okay,
whatever
okay. Yeah,
but
okay.
it follows the for loop follows the same concept. Set does not. You're not using set to um, use. I mean, how do I explain it to you? So this was your set, right? That was the difference. The way, even though it had 5, 5, and 6s, if you define this as set, it will be stored like this inside the memory. That's all. But your for loop is going to apply the same logic on it.
Okay,
That's it.
okay.
But if you wanted to do like this, let's say the same list X was a set. If you wanted to print list X of 4, that won't work because set doesn't allow you to give index. For loop has no issues with it. It's just accessing the values in the memory. That's all.
Okay.
All right. So let's go ahead with this. So what do you guys think will be my output for this? So for those who do not understand, when I give multiple lines, that is the whole importance of indentation, guys. If I'm giving this with the same indentation, that means now this whole thing is a block. But if I was giving this out of indentation, that means only this is a block and this is a separate line. So now my question is, so I changed the iteration to from iter to letter. Like I said, it can be Ankit or anything also. What do you think my output would be?
Will be
Yes.
No output, right?
AANAKAIATA.
Yes.
Saying A,
No.
N,
A
N.
then
Different line.
Ankit
Sorry?
means A then in new line A then N like that.
You're
Yeah.
saying this?
A.
Yeah.
Yeah. A. Yes. N.
What is wrong with this VS Code? Yeah, 1 second.
The reason you like VS Code is the problem now.
Well, I don't have to explain this to everybody, right? In this way. So I still love the VS Code. I mean, when I'm writing code, I don't have to do this. This is only for explanation. So yeah, but you guys got the idea what Tushar is saying. AANNKKIITT, right? But one thing
No,
here,
I think it should be AANAKAIATA.
Yeah.
yeah, there comes my star. That was Najam, right? Oh, that was Yon. Oh, Hon. Who was that?
Yeah. I think it's AA and A as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
ANNKKIITT.
Yeah.
my 0 is always A, right?
Yeah.
That's why you said AA and then A, similarly KA. Is that your logic, right? Najam and whoever said that?
The letter
Yeah,
0
yeah.
change. The index is always point to A.
Okay. But who was the guy who said AANNKK? Was it Tushar?
Yeah. Ankit.
Okay, so you are right, but I want to understand how did you find it out? Or unless you already knew it, then it's a different thing.
No, means it will be like for it will pick the single character from that string, then that iterator will means increment and it will pick the next character like that. It will.
Exactly the point. So the letter pointer is every time moving, guys. So what is letter of 0? It's always gonna be the same thing as letter only. It's not gonna change. How can it be A all the time? Okay, let's run it. See? AANNKKIITT. It's not gonna be AANAKA. This is nothing but this. And now you guys are confused. See, again, all things goes back to basics. So let me take this. So when
No, actually, you explained this the way Tushar answered, but my
yes,
previous
exactly.
knowledge got the best of me.
That's what it is, Najam. You have to start thinking a little bit more out of the box. So what Tushar explained is the exact way. So when you're first here, right? First your iteration starts. So your letter is pointing to this. So that's why your letter is printing A, and letter of 0 is what? Again, A. That's how you get these two A's. Make sense? And this, remember, this is a whole block now. So now after this, your letter would start pointing here. Remember, it is pointing here. But what does letter have? It is only a single element. It's not a list. It is not anything. So letter of 0 would always be one element only. And what would be that element? To the value it is pointing. That's why you get n. Then it is pointing here. I'll explain you one more thing and then you'll guys understand, but just follow along. So now when I changed it, it is pointing here. So I'm printing K twice. See? And then I'm printing I twice and then I'm printing T twice. Now to understand it simply, if whoever thought the other way, if that would have been the right answer, then this should also work, right? Can anybody guess the answer now?
Should be
Yes,
error.
it should. Yeah.
Should be
Error
the
or
next value always.
NN.
none like that.
What was it, Tushar? I missed you at the last.
Yeah. Error or none like that means if nothing is
Right.
there.
So you are saying none or error, right? I
Yeah.
really like you,
Yes.
man. You really apply concepts. So this is that gray area where Python doesn't do none. So, but you're right. It will be error out. See, string index out of range. Why? Because letter of 1 doesn't even exist. Letter is always one character, guys. Remember that. It is going character by character. First it's A, then it's N, then it's K, then it's I, and then it's T. So it is always going to be only one character, which means only one location, which means only letter of 0 would be there. There is no concept of 1 or 2 or -1 or -3 because it's only one character. So I just purposely use this to confuse you guys. This is nothing but same as this. Letter of 0 is exactly same as letter. And that is one of your interview questions right there.
Can you try -1?
You tell me what should be the answer before I run it.
Out of
It
range.
will be same. No, no. It will be, I
It should be
guess.
same. Yeah,
It should
same.
always be.
Exactly. So again, Najam, you have to think what is -1?
Last element.
Right. But
Before
that
0.
same element, 0 and -1 is going to be the same in this case. That's why it works. And it is not
Explain
error.
again.
So when you have, hold on, come on. I think you haven't attended the string class. You should probably give it. We I think spent 3 days on strings, if I'm not wrong. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And how is my negative indexing that works? In
T
general,
is -1.
this is my -1, this is my -2, this is my -3, this is my -4, and this is my -5. So you got confused because of this. But think of it as a single character. If it was only A in the memory, how can you represent 0? Same thing you can represent as -1 as well, right? Because it is only one single character. There is nothing next to it. So whether you reverse it or whether you go from 0, it is always the same thing. That's why -1 doesn't give you an error and gives you the exact same value every time.
So then why does 1 give you an error?
Yes, because what is going to be 1? 1 is pointing to this location. That is 1, right? What is 1? Nothing. Do we have any value at 1? No, right? Same thing, 2. If you give 2, there's no value here.
So you're saying for the iterator only considers one value at a time when it's going through a loop.
To be honest with you, this is not an iterator thing at all. This is a basic string functionality. It has nothing to do with iterator. You understood one part, that iterator goes one by one. You understood that part, right?
Yeah.
I don't have to explain that again.
Yeah.
So just imagine the first time when it is at A. Forget all this. Forget all this. When it was going through A, so this is my letter right now. This is how my letter looks, right? Not the whole string. Whole string is different. So my letter is here, and that's why with 0 or just letter, it is pointing to A. But what is my -1? Same location, right?
Okay. Yeah, okay, I got it.
Whoever asked that brilliant question, who was that? Sorry, I think it was Anand, right?
Probably Tushar.
No, Tushar answered it. I think Anand was the one
Anand
who
asked,
answered.
Anand.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Anand asked really good questions, man.
Ankit,
I'm
if
gonna
it is
add this
minus
also.
2, it is error, right?
You tell me, Ravi, what it should be.
Error.
Yes, it will be for the same reason. So anything other than this
Only
value would be an error, because -1 and 0 always maps to this value. Simple as that. And because we are going in iteration, this value keeps changing. So on the first iteration, letter is holding A. On the second, it is holding N. So when it goes to N, your -1 is also pointing to N only, right? That's how you're getting this second N. So the first N is coming from this, and the second N is coming from -1. Same thing for K. Now, when it goes to K, my letter is pointing at K. And how can you access K? There are 3 ways. 1, simply letter, being a character. 2, letter of 0, because it's just one character. That's how it is saved. And 3, letter of -1, because -1 for A is always A. It starts, I mean, A is only one character, right? So you start from the front or you start from the back, you're always going to get A.
But if you use string concept, I think from back, from this side should come, right? -1 means T should come, right?
That's what I'm trying to explain. You're not getting the point. When you're right, that's why I gave both the explanations. So when you give the whole A, N, A, I, T here, you're right. This is saved as this, and it is saved as -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. So you're right. But am I accessing Ankit? No, right? What am I accessing? I am accessing letter. Letter of -1. I'm not doing Ankit of -1. If you do Ankit of -1, then you'll print T. So now just follow along. Very first time the for loop starts, letter in Ankit. Where is your letter pointing to? Here, right?
Yeah.
This is your letter, correct? You get that? So now let's make it will have its own memory. So let's put it there. What is in the letter? A. Only A, right? You understand this? So now how will this be represented in memory? 0 location or -1? Because for A, -1 is also the same, right? It's only one character. So that's why letter of -1 prints A. What you are saying is true for Ankit of -1. That is T, because it starts from here. But when there is only one single letter, you're gonna, whether you do backwards or you go forward, it's gonna be the same thing. So that's why you're getting AA. Similarly, now what happens? Letter goes to here. So what is so this memory is gone. What does it become now for the second iteration? This is your N, again the same thing. So that's why N and N. See? The for loop is just iterating through it. That's why I'm saying it's not an iteration concept if you really pay attention to it. It's more of your indexing concept, how it works in strings and characters. For loop, you're just printing it, that's it, and iterating through it. So great job, guys, whoever got this answer. I was not expecting anybody to do it. And thank you, Anand, for the -1 complexity. I really like it. All right. Anybody still did not get this? Then I would suggest go through it, try to run it yourself, and then you might understand. If you still don't understand, ask in the group or ask it tomorrow, and then we'll see. So tomorrow we'll see this part, which I think Tushar said is not possible. I think Sunil also said that. So we'll see. There is a workaround for it, and I think I've talked about it. If you go back to the dictionary session, you will know what I'm talking about.
So
But we'll
are
see
we
that
talking
tomorrow.
about moving that to tuple and then do it?
Yeah, something of that sort. We have already discussed it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So there's an inbuilt function, right? Basically that we can
Yeah,
use,
of course.
and that's how we're going to do it. Yeah. So there's always a way to do things. You just have to think of it. That's all. Remember, the problem statement could be anything. You have to understand the problem statement and then work your way towards it. It doesn't have to, if the problem statement doesn't say that you have to use dictionary, then you can do anything, right? All right. Any questions before we go for today?
What was the reasoning behind the -1 printing none or error?
No, -1 did not print none or error.
No,
Sorry.
no, somebody
That
gave the answer.
was 1. When you do 1, then it's gonna be error.
Okay.
I think he said none because, like I was telling you the other day, Python, some places it understands that this could be a out of sight error, so it just gives you none, but that is not everywhere. So that's why I said both the answers are right, but actually it's going to be error because in this case it is not giving none. That is out of my or anybody's hands. It's actually giving you a proper error and it's telling you that index string out of range. So I'm gonna add actually one more thing to it now. Print -1. All right, makes sense now? And again, I've added this line also, see, with the indentation. So this whole thing becomes a block. So the same A will be printed thrice. I mean, if you change this to 0, I'm just gonna keep it to 1 so that you don't get confused with none or error. Let me put the whole statement in this. And let's do this. Okay. All right, guys. So like you see, same thing repeating 3 times. It's all the same thing, just a different way of accessing it. So we'll catch up tomorrow and we'll see dictionary tomorrow, how we gonna iterate over dictionary. That is very important because you want to use dictionary almost every day when you start coding. So try to be on time, everyone. And as always, I'll share the link.
Can we start earlier?
Nobody joined today, yet even the same time. So what do you mean by earlier?
No, because I know we can't go past this time because it's too late in India. But it
Oh, you're
feels like
talking in general, the time itself. Well,
yeah,
I'm working on it. I have a job too, Najam, so it's a little difficult.
yeah. I
We'll
know.
talk about it later. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a little difficult, especially mornings. I have a lot of meetings. It's really hard to get out. 12 to 1 is a formal thing in US, right? They follow
Yeah,
very
lunch.
strictly. Yeah, so that's why I prefer this.
Okay.
Yeah, but we'll see. I know it gets very late for India people, so I'll see. But thank you all for sticking around and going through it. All right, guys.
Thank
Talk to
you.
you tomorrow. Yeah, bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Thank you.